Hello, welcome to Lake Fork. We're here today and we're going to be going out in a Ranger boat powered by Mercury Outboards. We're going to try to go out and show you some winter techniques to catch these winter bass on Lake Fork. My name is Mark Mitchell and I've been a guide here for over 30 years. So let's go hit the water and see if we can catch some of these bass today. All right, so we're starting out, we've got a Viper XP jig and it's a 3/8. I like to throw a 3/8 anything inside 15. Outside 15, I like to throw a half. We're in a stained watercolor, which you're normally going to get on a lot of lakes this time of year. And what we're going to concentrate on is big wood. We don't have any grass in the area, so we're going to concentrate on big wood. Darker objects draw more heat from the sun. One of the things you always need to remember when winter fishing, especially if you're winter fishing shallow water like I like to do, big wood draws a lot of heat. And creek channels are one of your primary spots to be looking for these fish. As they go up and down the creek channel, they'll find locations to stop, just like a convenience store, to have a snack or pick up something to eat. And so what we have here this morning, we're on a creek channel. We're come down and all your creek channels have big wood on them. So now, the big wood is great for drawing heat. The biggest mistake most fishermen make is they throw too close to the wood. The tree gets bigger as it goes down and flares out, so try to stay behind it about 10 feet, bring it up to it, natural presentation 2 or 3 feet away, and walk it through the roots. That's where your fish are setting up their ambush point at. I can feel that jig just kind of crawling right through those roots on that tree, and that's where that old big bass is living right now. And we're hoping to keep walking it through there and catch one of them that's sitting in there waiting on an ambush point. A lot of times when they get in those roots, they're just looking, and something comes through, they take advantage of it. Especially a jig, it works through there real slow and everything. Okay, the bait, one of my choice baits in the winter is my Viper XP jig. Talked about it a little earlier, 3/8 ounce, purple passion. I trail it with an Excite Raptor Crawl chunk. Now, Excite's one of my sponsors, and what their baits have a great buoyancy, so they float. So when I trail this jig with this trailer, once I set it up on there, my design of the head actually makes the jig stand up like so. So once I trail it, these pinchers are going to float up with the buoyancy of this Excite Raptor Crawl chunk. And so it's going to give that natural look of a crawfish. It's like he's in the defense position with his pinchers up. And a lot of times the bass sees that, and it almost always makes the bite more aggressive because they see that posture of that crawfish in the defense position. So it makes them a little bit on the mad side, so they go in there and just hit it a little bit harder. So what we'll do with this, we're going to take and just thread it to where it comes out the top of the bait. You want to try to keep it as center, as close as possible. That way your balance is right and it don't overpower your jig to fall to one side. Thread it up on there real slow. Push it up to where it gets past the clip. And right there is where you want it. And it'll stand up just like that on the bottom. Those pinchers will stand up just like that. Now, with this jig, I want to say one thing about it real quick. The physics of it, when it sets up like this, the fish, they don't come in like this, they come down. So you get a great hookup with this jig because when they come down, the minute you set up, you get them in the top lip. It jerks straight up. And therefore, you're going to get better hookups and you're going to catch more fish because you've got more control of the fish in the roof of the mouth than you do either side. A lot of jigs will lay on their side like this, and when a fish comes down and picks it up, they actually have it in the side, and therefore when they make a run to the left or the right, it pulls out. When a jig is like this on bottom and they come down and you hook them in that top lip, it's going to give you great hookups. You're going to catch a lot more fish. Plus, your bait presentation looks more realistic to him. And these fish nowadays are so high pressured on all lakes around the country that they've seen a lot of baits, so you really have to trick them into making that fish bite and making him think it's the real deal. So with that being said, we're going to get back up, start pitching the edge of the creek. We're going to work the big timber again and see if we can trick one into biting this crawfish Viper XP jig.
Oak Ridge Marina is your one-stop full-service fishing destination. Featuring the best tackle shop on Lake Fork, a top-notch motel and restaurant, RV park, and brand new boat ramp. It's the only place to be when fishing Fork.
Oh, that's a good one right there. That may be the one we need right there. Fish. I called it, didn't I? Oh, it's a good one too. It's a good one. Oh man, it's nice fish, nice fish. That's what we're after, wintertime fishing with a jig. Really a good fish right here, guys, gals. Oh, and he ain't ready yet. Oh, that is a nice one. Nice fish. I'm gonna say that fish is 6 pounds or so. That's a really nice winter fish. Well, let's get her back in the water. Beautiful fish. Thank you, baby. We love you. Winter fishing Lake Fork. Did a Viper XP jig on a big laydown, probably 6 feet of water. Real light bite. You just got to kind of pay attention to your bites, and when you feel something a little different with a jig, you want to go ahead and set the hook because it can be something like that tied to the end. Let's get back up there and see if we can get us another one.
Diamond Sports Marine on Lake Fork is the fastest growing Ranger dealership in the area. With a new line of Ranger and Triton boats, powered by Mercury, Yamaha, Johnson, and Evinrude, Diamond Sports Marine serves all your boating needs.
Okay, another bait I like to use in the winter time, and this bait actually works for me all year long, is a Z-Man original chatterbait. My favorite ounce is 3/8 ounce. I love a chartreuse and white, and I like a gold blade with my chartreuse and white. A lot of the Z-Man chatterbaits work. I've tried others. I haven't found any better than the Z-Man. They've got a great hook in them, and one of my favorite trailers, I use some of the Z-Man Elastastretch baits, but this is one of my favorite. This is a bait by Lake Fork Trophy Lures. It's a swimming slug, and you can see the tail just vibrates like crazy on it. When this thing's coming through the water, it really vibrates like that and gives it a lot of action. And the chatterbait will just absolutely pull them in. This is what the package of the Lake Fork trailers look like. And again, it's one of my favorite trailers on a chatterbait. The Z-Man original chatterbait, gold blade, chartreuse and white, all year long. It'll catch for you. We're going to put it to test now and throw it over some grass and see if we can get some of these big bass to come up and take it. But one of my very favorite baits over grass and around wood is a Z-Man chatterbait, 3/8 ounce original. Let's give it a shot and go see what we can do. In this segment, I want to talk about the equipment used and my choice of equipment. When throwing a jig, I like a 7.3 heavy action rod, 20-pound copolymer line. I like a high-speed reel, so therefore when I get a fish next to cover that I can pull him out of there, so I use a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel. When anything that you're moving on bottom, slow, that you're gonna have to set the hook and the fish is stationary, I want a heavy action rod so that when I hit that fish, that I'm driving that hook in. If your rod's a little too soft, it won't work so well on a jig, and you load the rod up like a rubber band. So my choice is a Omen Black from 13 Fishing, 7.3 heavy, 7-to-1 gear ratio reel, 20-pound copolymer. Now my choice of copolymer is also for low stretch. It's a great line. It fishes like mono, but it's low stretch, and I really like the low stretch line. Now my second bait that we had in the DVD is a chatterbait. Now, a lot of people fish this like a spinner bait, but it's basically a swimming jig. So I'm going right back to my heavy, except I'm using a 7.1 heavy from Omen 13 Fishing, and I use a 6.4-to-1 gear ratio reel. Now, in the process of the line is I can throw a 15-pound line or I can throw a 20. It don't seem to affect the bait whatsoever. It don't affect the catching of the bait. So 15, if I'm in less cover, if I'm in cover, I'm gonna throw it on 20. 6.4-to-1 gear ratio reel. And again, copolymer line, low stretch. But since it's more like a jig instead of a spinnerbait, we throw it on a heavy action rod. And so therefore, when we set the hook, we've got them closed up and in that. Next one is we have anything that I'm using moving through the water, like crankbaits, or spinner baits, I'm going to throw it on a medium heavy. So here we have an Omen Black again, medium heavy. It's a 7.3 medium heavy. I have 15-pound copolymer line on this XB1. It's a square bill, and I use 6.4-to-1 gear ratio. And again, we go back to our copolymer line, low stretch, 6.4-to-1 gear ratio, just a standard amongst a lot of reels. And a medium heavy gives me, when you have the fish and the bait, you have a counter reaction. So therefore they're kind of helping you set the hook so you don't have such a stiff rod. So a medium heavy will get you by on moving baits. I try to keep it pretty simple. Medium heavy on moving baits, heavies on baits that I'm dragging on bottoms from Carolina rigs to jigs and so on and so on. And my choice of rod again is Omen Black rods from 13 Fishing. And that's what we use in this DVD, and we'll be using them throughout the year. I'm excited to promote all these products, and they're just flat great equipment for fishing with. And here on Lake Fork, you need the heavy stuff, and this is the stuff you want. All right, what we have here is a new product from Excite Baits. They're known for soft plastics, but this past year they've got into the crankbait market with a square bill, which I have right here. It's called an XB1. This XB1 has a weight transfer system in it that once you throw it, there's a tungsten weight in the center of it that will change from one end of the bait to the other so that you can add distance to your casting, and it stops tumbling when you throw. This weight transfer system is one of a kind. Excite Bait has it in the XB1, and it's soon to be in everybody's tackle box. Thanks for sticking around and watching our segment of winter fishing. Hopefully we touched on some tips and techniques out there that'll help you in winter fishing. And remember, winter's brutal, so just stay with it. And those will make you a better fisherman. Go out and swing at them, and hope to see you on the water next time.